Here's another $100 keyboard from Epomaker with a 75% exploded layout, a knob, a Trimode connectivity, and a dedicated print screen. This has a full powder-coated aluminum housing held down by 6 screws underneath some keycaps. The gaskets here are made of silicone, and so far I don't feel a lot of gasket action happening. Let's look into the dampers later to see what's going on here. The Galaxy70 features a 20mm knob with a port diameter of the standard 6mm. This knob, by the way, also has a powder-coated finish. This keyb is powered by a 4000 mAh battery pack, which is standard for today's keyboard requirements. Moving on, this comes with the Epomaker Zebra switches, which are just a bit clacky. You have yourself the option for switch replacements though, with its south-facing universal hot swap PCB. These Zebra switches are pre-lubed and is on the light side of switches. Onto the software, this has key binding, macro recording, RGB customization, and delay settings I've never seen before. And to be honest, I'm unsure what it's for, so educate me in the comments section below. Now out of the box, you get the keyboard, the manual, a cable, keycap switch puller, some extra Zebra switches which I lost before shooting this video, and some keycaps for a Mac layout. The cable is a generic plastic coated cable which I have no issues with since this is a wireless keyboard and Epomaker had to pull the price down for as low as possible. Onto the keyboard, this is relatively easy to tear down just by removing these 6 screws. Then tearing this down though, remember to remove the aluminum knob first. Oh, and speaking of the aluminum knob, this does not completely sound like the best knob press among all keyboards I've had. The case ping is very much resonant. My favorite part of this keyboard is the dongle slot with magnet mechanisms that make the dongle pop up. On top of the keyboard, you will find the recessed USB-C in, so some fat cables out there may not fit here, but most cables do. Now, under the keyboard is silicone feet without any kick-up feature. The keyboard is already angled though, yet some might prefer kick-ups. Also under the keyboard is Epomaker's branding. Anyways, if you're wondering, the keyboard weighs 1.8 kilograms. Onto aesthetics, this has 3 color options with 2 switch options. Both the black and the white have top legends, while the blue one has side printed shine-through keycaps. One key aesthetic feature here is the rounded edges that make it less masculine and more on the cute side of keyboards. The keycaps are tri-color theme of gray, beige, and white with a greenish hue. There really isn't much to see on this keyboard aside from the RGB strip above the arrow keys, as Epomaker doesn't put heavy branding on their boards. Onto RGB, this has a lot of RGB modes toggleable with FN and Enter. If you press function and backslash, you're able to choose a different static color for whatever RGB mode you're on. Plus, you may also opt for the reactive RGB mode that reacts to your PC's audio. The plate material here is PP, which contributes to better light diffusion. Unfortunately, the top housing of a Zebra is black, absorbing a bit of the shines from the LEDs. By the way, by pressing the function and right shift, you are able to change the color of the light strip. Keycaps here are cherry profile double shot PBT. These aren't shine-through keys, so RGB fans may want to change keycaps. One thing I really love about this keyboard is its stock print screen dedicated button up here. Onto stabilizers, the plate-mounted stabilizers here are pre-lubed and have a slight wobble to it, but not very much. I would add lube on the elbows though. Onto the Zebras, this is leaning more towards the clacky side of switches, yet depending on case fittings, keyboard housing, plate material, this could sound thocky or marbly. Now, I've said this in many of my other reviews regarding the Zebras, and I'm just gonna go through it one more time. This has a 40-gram actuation force and a 45-gram bottom-out force, so they're pretty light for me. Stem is made of palm, bottom housing is nylon, and the upper case is made of PC. And if it matters to some of you, this is a 5-pin switch. So upon removing the top case, first thing I checked are the gaskets, and yes, they're made of silicone. Now underneath, there are 3 cables attached to the PCB. So there's one going to the knob, another going to the daughter board, and then another going to the antenna. I've never seen this kind of cable or wiring before. My expectation is that the antenna is already attached to the PCB, but so this antenna is very similar to the antennas on laptops or Wi-Fi antennas. You just pull it off and you press it back in. It's so easy. Did I get that right? There you go. Just so you know how to take it out. So as you can see, it's a flex cut PCB, and so is the PC plate. I mean the PP plate. This is a PP plate. Such an awkward term, PP plate. Moving on, this does not have screw-in stabilizer ports, so that's one room for improvement. No big issue there. Let's move on to the dampers here. So the first layer you get is a PET anti-static film. The next layer is an EPDM rubber. So this looks like foam and it feels like foam, but it's actually rubber. But I believe that this will give a more hollow sound to a keyboard just because there's more air passing through here versus a pour-on foam. Now moving on to the dampers or layers in between the PCB and the PP plate. So the first layer is a pour-on sandwich foam. Next layer is a PET anti-static film. And then you have an IXP switch pad. Under that, you get another PET anti-static film. A total of 3 PET anti-static films and 3 kinds of foam. So all good here. If you have any questions, be sure to comment down below and I'll be sure to answer them when I can. Let's move on to the acoustic test.